Okay, so now you can start. So we're talking about aging in place, and I asked you, Velma, to tell us about how it is that you decided it was time to move.
Yeah, and I don't know why my camera's not working. It
No, you're
says
fine. We can see you just fine.
oh, okay. It says your camera's being used by other apps, but okay. So my husband died in 2022, and I was I had gotten to the point where it was too much work to keep up my place where I was. I have a home on 5 acres, and I couldn't do it by myself. And um, I just, a friend of mine made an appointment to come here to WellQuest to view to see what it was like because her husband had also died and she was ready to leave her home. So we came here on a visit and then she moved in probably about 6 months after we visited. And then I got on the waiting list almost a year, I think, after we visited. And I ended up moving here in the end of May last year. So it's been about 9 months now since I've been here.
So how much of a factor was it having somebody that you already knew live in there?
Um, that's hard to say. I don't know what would do if she hadn't been here. I probably wouldn't have even considered moving here, but I can't tell you that for certain.
Hmm.
I just know that she enjoyed it here. She said she really liked it. And so I told her, well, I believe I'm going to move there too.
And did anyone accuse you of making a hasty decision?
Uh, if they did, they didn't tell me.
Okay. Cool. So Nina, do you mind going next? I know you're working on trying to sell your house, right? You're just muted. I can't hear you. Now you're muted again. And maybe you don't have a microphone that was,
Good.
oh, there you go. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good? Okay. Yes, I decided to sell my house. And a little bit like Velma, I don't live on 5 acres, but I do live on the Garden Highway and have no neighbors and am quite isolated here. And it's beautiful, but it also floods, and there's a well and there's a septic tank, and all of that just is more stuff. And I decided that I feel pretty good and I have the energy and the resources to make the decisions that need to be made for myself and what to keep and what not to keep and what to do with the stuff that I'm not going to keep. So all of that is part of the process that I'm happy that I'm able to do for myself. I don't know where I'm going. I don't have any destination fixed. I will stay in the Sacramento area. I like the Campus Commons area. Um, but I'm not willing to look seriously until I have at least a contract to sell my house because I don't want to be juggling between two houses and two mortgages and all of the
And
other
does real
stuff
estate
that
move
goes with
quickly out
that.
there on the Garden Highway?
I'm sorry?
Will your house sell quickly once you're ready to list it?
I don't know. It's not for everybody, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And people tell me that it will go quickly, but who knows?
Okay. And what's your time frame? When are you thinking you'll actually get to that point of wanting to sell it?
Oh, I've signed a listing agreement. I've made
Oh,
the
okay.
decision. It's just I had to put a new roof on the house and I that just got a final inspection yesterday. And there's some other work that I may or may not do, and I have to talk to the contractor and the selling agent to see what is the wisest things to do there, according to their opinions, and then I'll decide. Um, but I am, it's the part that I can do for myself, which is the interior part and getting disposing of various items and clutter and cleaning off things. They're not going to stage my house. They're going to use my own stuff. So it needs to be tidied up and relieved of overcrowding. And
How big is your house?
what is it?
How big? It's probably a
It's
big
about
house.
20, it's about 2,100 square feet. There's an art studio with lots and lots of art stuff up there, which is a whole other world, but I have people who are helping me with that. I have people who are helping me with the household items and distributing them among refugee families, and which pleases me. And so things are going along smoothly, but in terms of when actually is it going to be listed for sale depends on when the agent decides that it's time to take the pictures. And as far as I'm concerned, it could happen as early as next week, but she's very experienced and I trust her completely. So when she tells me something, I go, yes, ma'am, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, you're obviously pretty busy right now.
I am.
Hey, anybody else in my older group who's thinking of moving? You're going to stay where you are forever, right, Marianne Robinson?
I don't know about forever, but I hope to stay here. That's my plan. But at the same time, I'm moving into a higher gear of getting rid of things. I've always kind of tried to minimize, but when I see something now that I'm not using, I try to make it go away. So I think I'm kind of thinking in two minds because I see what people go through when they do have to move. If it's more of a have to than a want to, it's really can be a real burden on them and on the people around them. So yes, I hope to stay here, but I'm preparing for a possible move in the future.
Okay. And who else is out here? Suzanne, you've already made one move, right?
Yeah, well, we moved into town into a smaller house, but we still have our house in the country. So
Well,
we're
Vel still has her house too, so
yeah. Yeah, but we're seriously thinking about it. It's close to time to let go of it.
and I'm not prying into your details, but you'd sell the farm before you'd sell where you're currently living, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This is where we need to be now. We don't need 15 acres and it's a bigger house and all of that. We don't need that. And in
Okay.
fact, right now, it just for some health reasons going on right now, I'm in a spurt of deep getting rid of stuff.
Sounds like
It's
we're all in that boat.
funny we're talking about that, but some of the thrift stores will only take one box at a time. And I'm
Oh,
thinking,
really?
really? So they'll get to see me frequently.
Okay. Wow. Okay, Deirdre, I see you. I sure I don't know nothing about your living situation, but I know that you obviously live in a house, right? Deirdre?
Oh, you're talking to me. I'm sorry. Let me
Yeah, yeah.
unmute myself.
You're not muted and we can hear you.
Oh, I guess I am unmuted. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, my story is I lived in Southern California until about 3.5 years ago. And my son, I have three sons. One of them lives in Sacramento here. And they decided that I needed to be closer to them, to one of them. I'm 76 now. And I did not want to move into an apartment. I just like living in a cage. I go insane. So bless their hearts, the three of them got together and bought me a little house here in Sacramento. Mhm. And they, well, we split it for the mortgage. I pay them, is it $666 a month for my rent, and then they cover everything else.
Wow. Do any of them live
And
with you?
it's
Do any of them
house
live in
with
this
a
house?
huge yard, which I love.
You got a good deal,
And
it
I'm
sounds like.
hoping I can. I'm sorry.
You're coming in and
I
out. Yeah,
had
I
a
said you got
house
a good deal, it
near.
sounds like.
Oh,
Do any of your sons live with you?
yeah.
I mean, I always had a house and I had 2 jobs, and I all the way through their school, they lived in a house. And so I think they understood the
Okay.
attachment having a house. And my little son has a house right around the corner from me. And
Very
so if I
nice.
need
Very nice. Yeah,
something,
you got a good
it's
deal.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check into that kind of deal,
And
Nina.
then I pay the utilities. That's
No.
about 400 a month. And, but that's just what it is.
Right.
So my son here depends on, first of all, my health, which isn't great, but it's good. It's good enough. I'm not going anywhere. And then also my son's job situations, if that changes, then they might not be able to afford their mortgage, plus part of mine.
Well,
So
you're right.
I'm just kind of living a little bit at a time, just enjoying it while I have it.
Hey, Lynn Livingston, I see you snuck
Hey,
in here.
hi,
Do you,
everybody.
do you know Lee?
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
certainly do. Yes.
So I don't
And
know.
Velma.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi,
So we're
Velma.
talking about moving, and you've moved a bunch in the time I've known you. So
Yes, we
you've,
moved to Brazil for a while.
well,
That was a distance.
but then you had a home in Campus Commons, and you moved to an apartment, and then you moved to a house, and then you moved somewhere else, and
We've
then
been
Jim
around.
decided to go away. So now you're on your own, right?
I'm on my own here in um, my lovely apartment.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And then the only other older adult I see out there is Marianne Williams. Do you want to chip in anything, Marianne, or not?
Well, I live in a fairly large house out on a green belt in Fair Oaks, and even though it gets way too much to take care of, I don't want to leave all my wildlife, my little foxes and hawks and all this stuff come and visit. I don't feed them or encourage them, but I think it's so quiet, they probably think I'm not here. But I probably should move, but the other issue, which is a big one to consider. By the way, I'm a realtor, so this comes up once in a while. Is the capital gains situation if you've been in your house for a long time, because that can really add up to a lot of money, and that gives me pause in my house because I've been here for so long. And the capital gains, someone else might know more about it, has not really been adjusted or kept up with the times. So I'm not sure if it's a bill yet or what it is. There's something going through the system that is hoping to update it. So if that's something somebody wants to find out more about, I would encourage, because it can really add up to an awfully lot of money if your house has built up a lot of equity, which it has if you've been in it for a long time. But that's one thing that kind of keeps me here. And plus, I'd kind of like to leave it to my kids because it's kind of a unique setting on this green belt. But we'll see. We'll see. I know I can't be here forever. So it's just when you all have been talking about getting rid of things, that's an overwhelming task for me to think of. When I moved from the Bay Area back to this area, it was pretty difficult. But I seem to be the curator of what my mother left behind and all these people. And so there's trunks in the garage. I haven't even really paid much attention to what they really contain. And plus, I'm one of these people, because I have the room to do it and the closet space, I just never seem to throw anything out. So there's a lot of clearing out that is a little bit scary to think of. And I need to start doing it yesterday. But Yeah, so it's a big decision for all of us.
Right.
It's not easy. I kind of congratulate Vilma, who's kind of made that decision and is happy where she is.
I'm guessing, Velma, you got to leave all your stuff behind in your house, right?
Yep, it's
Yep,
still
it's
there.
still
I
there. I
haven't
haven't
cleaned out
cleaned
my
out
house
my
yet.
house. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. And so we do have a guest today. This is Lee Mala, right? Is that how you say her last name? Who's I'm going to call she's a professional mover, right? So she's got lots of experiencing with guys like you who have lots of stuff. So I think I'm just going to turn it over to you, Lee, and let you share your thoughts so far. And it really would be kind of good to talk about the stuff question because I think that's a big one. And
That seemed to
everybody
be
has so much
consistent.
stuff, and nobody wants our stuff, right?
Right. Linda, thank you so much. And I do have some construction going on in my office, so let me know if it's distracting to hear the background noise. I can move to another room. But thank you, Linda. And it is you're all so dear. I loved hearing all of your stories and experiences. And tell you that I started I've been in business for 25 years, and I started a professional organizing business 25 years ago. So I was a member of the National Association of Professional Organizers for 12 years. And then I started specializing in helping seniors downsize their home in many years and helping them to make a nice, smooth move to what I call safer, simpler living, Velma, right? So, and so my company is called Right Size Your Move. And so yeah, so what I help about 2.5 clients a week. So when you add that all together, it's I think I've managed over 3,000 moves, people helping them downsize their home in many years. So and I am also a realtor. So Marianne, I know what you're talking about, but let me share something. The senior real estate specialist, they did a survey of seniors, asking them what were the top reasons why they moved. And it's interesting because when I listened to everybody and we all heard each other, this is what they said, and you can all relate. So 42% of the people surveyed said that the reason why they wanted to move was because maintaining the home became too much. And I think Velma was talking about that with the 5 acres, right? And then 34% said that it was because of health reasons. And Susan, I think, had mentioned, so sometimes when something changes, we need to make some changes. 10% of the people said that they really needed to downsize. There was too much stuff and that they needed to get rid of some of that. And 6% said they wanted to move because of feeling isolated. So, but it was kind of interesting to hear some of that. These are some of the fears of why people procrastinate at making a later life move. And 32% is that fear of change. So that's something that, we know one thing is constant in life, and that's change, but it is one of the fears that we have. The other is feeling overwhelmed. And I think Marianne mentioned it, and I know everybody's feeling the same way. We have too much stuff, and it's difficult to actually get motivated to start to downsize. And there's that fear of letting go of something. I have a whole class on that, by the way, Linda, if we ever want to go that route. 24% said that there's the emotional fears that they fear they're going to miss their home. And 4% said that one of the fears of keeping them from moving is financial reasons. So those are a couple of things. I will say that the survey also found that 76% of the people who actually did downsize their home and move to safer, simpler living say that they wish they had done it sooner. They were happy they made the move and they adjusted, which we know that we are all creatures of habit, but we're all very adaptable. So that's one thing that I think also brings a lot of hope when I'm helping people. And very few said that they waited too long. But let's see, I mean, I'm available to talk about a lot of different things. Usually when I'm helping somebody who either wants to age in place in their home or they are thinking about moving accidents. And I apologize if there's that noise. But I always want to look at their safety. So safety is the most important thing. And the other thing is feeling safe. And of course, we're trying to avoid falls. And as our mobility changes as we age, that's another reason why sometimes people will make a change. So I have some ways of going about it. And I had the pleasure of working with Lynn to help her with her transition from her home to her apartment. And I have some tips to share. So is this a good time to share those, or what works best?
I think that's okay. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, are you hearing this noise in the background?
No, we're not.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So I would say people feel overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. So one of the things that I've found that helps is rather than going room by room and figuring out what they might need to downsize or things they need to get rid of, I like people to actually look at one category at a time. And these are the 4 categories. The first category is furniture. So you want to think about, where do you spend your time? What furniture do you use throughout your day? What does your daily look like? Do you sit at a desk? Do you sit in a recliner? Are you at the kitchen table? So there's certain things we use about 20% of our stuff, 80% of the time. And so I like people to look at furniture is the first category. Oftentimes I'll work with somebody when they already know where they're going instead of aging in their home, but you can also think about downsizing furniture even if you're going to stay in your home. If you're going to move to an apartment somewhere or a smaller home, let's see, it's trying to think here. Was it Deidre? You moved to a smaller home, right? So one of the things that helps is actually doing a little space planning, figuring out what furniture is going to fit and where it's going to go. And a lot of times when I do that, my clients feel an instant sense of relief. The big items, we know what's going, and now we also know what's not going. So that's category number 1. Category number 2 is usually the kitchen and bath. And the reason for that is that I have found that at any age, the different stages of life, usually we feel comfortable with our dining and entertaining needs at our current stage of life. So people might realize that they're not going to be doing dinners for 12 people anymore or have a dinner party of 8 or 4, but they might want to have somebody over for dinner or have for lunch, or they may be in an apartment situation where they actually have their meals taken care of. So usually downsizing the kitchen and bathroom items is pretty easy. It's not as emotional. So I usually dive in there next because I want my client to start to feel a sense of accomplishment and also confidence that you can make these decisions. You can downsize, because it seems scary, but it's not as so overwhelming if you start with something smaller like that. And then the next category is clothing. And usually that is dictated on a couple of things. Number 1, how much space are you going to have in your new location? And then that kind of dictates how much clothing you can take. Or the other thing is, you're going to stay in your home. Again, looking at things with these glasses, the glasses I call the 80-20 glasses. You can only see the 20% that you use 80% of the time with these glasses on. So I'd like you to start thinking about, is there clothing in your closet that you're not using? And this is a good time to get rid of some of those things. If you're having trouble getting started with that, instead of looking at the whole closet, I use the same approach. Let's just look at one category. Let's look at shirts or sweaters or pants, and then make the decisions in those categories. That helps. The last category is art and decor items. And when I'm helping somebody feel settled in their new home, these are really things that help people feel settled. Anything I can do to recreate their space, How did they have things on their nightstand and their dresser or their coffee table, and try to recreate those things. So that's something that that really helps. And I know one of you mentioned about how difficult it is to donate things at thrift shops, and it is very, very, very true. Particularly once the lockdowns happened, they started to get a lot more strict about what items they'll take and how many things they'll take. And I have some ideas because there are some places in town who really do a great job. And sometimes we do a full home clear out and we still can get those items donated. So that kind of gives you a little bit, as far as letting go of things, we hold on to things because they have meaning. Those are the things that are the hardest to get rid of. And sometimes things have invisible meaning. So let's just say, this is a pen that I have, and to you, it might just be a pen, but maybe this is a pen that my grandmother gave me. And so I see invisible meaning on the pen that you can't see. And so it tugs at my heartstrings, right? So it makes it harder to let go. But there are ways to let go of things. And again, that's another class. but hopefully this gives you a little bit of hope as to what you can do to downsize, and some of the tips to make it a little bit easier.
And by the time you work with people, they've already figured out where they're going, right?
Linda, that I prefer when they know where they're going, and there's a reason for that. If you know where you're going, you know how much closet space you have, you know what the rooms are going to look like. And because this is a series of decisions that are made in all these 4 categories. And if you don't know where you're going, you're just going to want to keep everything. Whereas if you know that let's say you have 30 feet of hanging clothes right now in your home, but in your new place, there's only 6 feet or 10 feet of hanging. Well, now you know how much you can take with you on move day. So yes, it's all about decision making.
Where you're going is also a very important decision. It's a big decision.
It is. It is. And I would say, Lynn's saying, it's important where you're going. I don't usually help people with that part of it, but there are companies that do help. And usually what they look at are, what are your needs? So they assess your physical and lifestyle needs. And then also maybe your finances, what you can afford. But I always recommend that you go and you actually visit, if you are looking at a community, that you actually go and visit. They usually have events that they're happy to invite you to. You can mix and mingle with the people who live there. And you can also go maybe for lunch or some other event that they're having there. And a lot of it has to do with how you feel. Some places are very fancy or they might be very rigid, or other places are more casual. So it just depends on your lifestyle and how you feel in your new home. But as far as your apartment, your dwelling itself, I like to recreate the space as much as possible so that my clients feel at home right away. And in our case, usually I'm not the mover, so I don't do the packing, but I manage the moving and I help with the space planning. So we're not wasting any time on move day. Usually on the move day, the morning is spent, the mover packs and loads the truck. And then the afternoon, they unload the truck. And then I have this magical team who unpacks everything, unpacks the clothing, the kitchen, the bathroom, makes the bed, sets up the lamps, hangs pictures. And so takes all the boxes away. So when somebody walks into their home, they're not walking into a sea of boxes, which wouldn't be safe and it would feel unsettling. And so that's another thing that helps. If any of you are going to help an older adult move, that would be really important, that when they walk in, it looks and feels like home.
Here's a funny story. Actually, we were just talking about this today with Linda Good, who's a social worker that participates with us, and her mother moved somewhere, and her daughter helped the mother move, and Linda, the social worker, knew that it would help her mother if it basically was the same setup in her prior kitchen, and so that was the instructions to the daughter: make sure that you put, the stuff in the cupboards like grandma used to have it. And she did that with the exception of the glasses. And she actually put the glasses in, upside down so that the rims were down. And the grandma, was used to pulling a glass out of the cupboard and having it be open. And so she took a glass out of the cupboard and took it to the sink and basically poured water all over the sink because she didn't turn the glass over before she tried to put water into it, because that's not how she used to pull them out of the cupboard. And that's just an amazing little thing that fits into this whole picture of
Very
making it
true,
be the
Linda.
same.
It's all in the details. And that's why a lot of times we do a lot of really keen listening and we take a lot of pictures. And let me give you an example. I had a client once, she really liked blue glassware. So we were looking at the kitchen, and instead of taking a 50-year kitchen, we were going to take 4 plates, 4 bowls, 4 this and that, favorite coffee mugs, that type of thing. And she said, well, I really like the blue glassware. I want to take 4 of those. And I said, okay. And then she said, well, this one goblet doesn't match, so I guess I won't take it. And I said, well, tell me about that one. And she said, oh, my husband likes to drink his orange juice out of that goblet every morning. I said, I think we should take it over to the new apartment, even though it doesn't match. I think we should take it because he uses it. So it's that type of thing. Another time I had a client, we were walking around the home. We get to a big piece of furniture, a roll top desk. And she said, well, I guess this is too big to take to the apartment. And I said, well, tell me about it. And she said, well, my husband sits here all day, either here or on that chair watching TV. And I'm thinking, okay, his world is that desk and that chair. And I better take those over there and figure out a way to make this happen, and also cater to whatever her needs are too. So anyway, we found a way to make it happen and it worked out. It's great. But those are the types of things that really mean a lot.
And I'm picking up it's a lot harder to move a couple than it is a single person. Right? The element of the husband who's part of this move and doesn't share his feelings about his cup. That's hard to ferret out, I'm sure.
And it's interesting, even if you're not moving somebody, if you're helping them get organized, they both have different opinions. But they each are responsible for making their own decisions, because clutter. Now, there was a woman who wrote a book. The book is called Conquering Chronic Disorganization, and her name is Judith Kohlberg. And Judith says in the book that clutter is deferred decisions. So really, all of this is helping somebody go through a transition and not making the decisions for them. They're the only ones who can make the decision, but helping them, kind of guiding them as to how to make some of those decisions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So who has any questions or comments? Marianne.
I just wanted to comment on how much I appreciate you asking the question of, tell me about that. I remember as a young person, I would show my parents something I'd drawn, and instead of saying, what is it? They would say, tell me about it. And that question has always worked as a way to elicit the responses that you need. I mean, if you say to them, what do you want that chair for or something? I don't know. It just doesn't work as well as tell me about it. There's always a story. And that's what you're getting at. It's the value of the story that matters.
And part of that, Marianne, is I'm sure it's my training over the years. But yes, when you have this background, you learn a lot about how to really help a client feel comfortable, and also how to meet their needs by asking open-ended questions, because you don't always know unless they explain it to them, right? Explain it to you, right?
Yeah, it's the story that matters.
It is. And let me also say another thing about storytelling. So I had mentioned that it's difficult for us to get rid of things because those things have meaning. And there was a study that was done at the University of New Mexico, and it was in the marketing department, and they were trying to figure out, why do we gather and keep things? How do we use things? And eventually, how do we dispossess or get rid of things? And so one of the things that they found is that we keep things because they have meaning. And if we can do something with the meaning and keep the meaning in our heart and actually detach it from the item, remember the pen that has invisible meaning on it? Well, they came up with these what they call meaning rituals, and one of them is telling a story about something. So sometimes somebody's ready to get rid of something, but they kind of need to tell a story about it first, and then it gives it honor. And after the story is told, they can just release the item, but they keep the story gets to stay with them. Sometimes I'll have clients write a story. So if they like to journal, maybe they'll take a picture of something and also journal about the item. And the other thing is sometimes we get rid of something. It's easier for us to get rid of something. One of the meaning rituals would be to place the item in a less frequently used area. So if it's high in the closet or out in the garage or at a storage unit, we've already started to say goodbye to it, but we haven't completely detached from it yet. But it's encouraging that we've taken a step towards detaching from the item. Another thing is that sometimes people will say, I had a client once, she had like a Girl Scout uniform with all these different patches on it. And she said, I'd really, I don't need it anymore. I think I'm ready to get rid of this, but I don't know. I wish I could give it to somebody who cares about all the work that went into earning all these patches. And, so yes, getting on the phone and trying to figure out, is there a Girl Scout troop who might want to see this? And, at one of their meetings or something like that. So just finding a way, people feel really good if they know it's going to a good home, somebody who will appreciate the item. So those are a couple of what they call meaning rituals that help us detach from things.
So along that note, what are the resources for where you would find the places that the museums or the whatever that are interested in these things? Do you have any tips for how you find these places that want those kinds of
It's kind of depends. I had a client who he collected stamps, and so we went and figured out who collect. Is there a stamp collecting group in Sacramento? Yes, there is. They meet regularly. It's like Wednesday once a month at a church, and we can go there and see if anybody's interested in the stamps. So there's a lot. We basically just have to roll up our sleeves when it comes to things like that. But occasionally I'll have somebody who will say, I really want my items to go to the SPCA or to Weave or whatever it is. And then we make sure that that is honored and we do those. I do that for them.
So Jennifer, do you know about historical societies? I see that little note you wrote there.
I do. I actually had an older adult that I was helping with, and she is now 87, but she had her Girl Scout uniform from back when she was a kid. She had the beret, she had the sash with all the patches, and she's in Yolo County, so we checked with the West Sacramento Historical Society, and they were happy to take the Girl Scout outfit. And so now they have it on display. They put it out on display with some of their stuff sometimes. So I would say definitely with things like that, always check with historical societies, whether it's like Fair Oaks, Sacramento, West Sacramento, Yolo County, because they do take stuff like that and are happy to have
fabulous.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else involved with a historical society? I've never actually thought about that concept before. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, who else has a comment or a question?
I have a comment, or maybe it's a question. As I'm listening to this, I'm wondering, I know we have students in the group, and I'm just curious what input any of them may have. They're younger, so they're not dealing with these issues, but have members of their family dealt with it, and how have they handled that, or what have they, what are their observations? Sorry, my voice is so bad today.
It's okay. We're understanding you.
But I'm curious, and plus I like to hear from the college students in any case, but just as a different point of view, if any of them have comments.
Well, frequently the students leave their stuff at home and they go off to school and leave it for mom to take care of.
That's pretty common. You're right.
Exactly.
And they'll be back.
Oh, they're
But
not
then they're
here?
upset. Are they upset when their parents get rid of it?
Oh, I would imagine, but I
That's
don't
what,
know for
yeah,
sure.
that's what I was wondering, if there were things that have meaning to them and suddenly they're gone.
What about pets?
That's
I
a
I know.
fabulous question. Yeah.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
about students leaving their pets at home with their parents, but that made me understand that seniors moving have much loved pets that they can't take with them.
Mm. Yes, it's difficult. There's two things. Number one, if they are taking the pet with them to an apartment, we can make arrangements that will help that pet for the day. Sometimes they'll go to they'll go off site and be boarded for the day, or a friend might take them, or what we'll do is leave the pet in a certain area of the home quickly. These moves are usually done all in one day, and then the pet is introduced to the home once it is all set up to reduce any kind of stress that the pet might have. And so that's one idea there. But if they have to get rid of the pet, it has happened occasionally, and we have to get creative as to figure out where is a good home for that pet.
Did you have to move any pets, Velma?
Oh, no. But the
I was
the
going to say,
people here do have pets.
Uh-huh. Deirdre, what were you going to add?
I'm sorry.
You were going to add something?
Well,
Did you move a pet?
when I moved, I got rid of just about everything. But what I kept were like my son's yearbooks and the things from when they were babies, and all these things I collected as a mother, collected all these things over the years. And they were
And of course,
quite
your sons didn't want them, right?
baffled about why I still wanted all that stuff. No, surprisingly. And I guess maybe because they're guys, they're not so sentimental. I don't know.
I don't
But
know
I
either.
still have some of them. They don't take up my space, but I just can't get rid of them. You know?
Jennifer, if you have a comment, just speak it out there.
Yeah, I was wondering now. I know Velma's already moved, and I was wondering how long she had been at her residence. And then we have the one, her name is actually not up on the screen, that is going to be putting her house up for sale on Garden Highway. How long has she been in her home?
I lived in my previous home for 46 years,
Wow, okay.
and I've been here just 9 months.
Is there anything in particular you miss about your home, or anything that you think maybe, man, I'd like to go back there sometime, or just lots of memories?
Right now, I'm still going back.
Okay.
I go back at least once a week. My mail still is delivered there. I miss my garden, but I did start a garden about a month ago here.
That's good.
Cool.
Nice. That's good to hear.
And Nina, you've moved around a little bit, right? You said you had more than one residence, I think.
I've moved quite a bit, but I've been here longer than any other place, and it's almost 30 years.
Oh.
And Nina, is there anything particular that you think that you'll miss about your home once you move?
Oh, I'm sure there are. For sure, I'll miss the wildlife, as somebody else mentioned,
Yeah.
and the openness and the light that comes into my house. I have an art studio, and I'll miss that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, there are things that I love very much about living here, but I'm confident that it's the right decision to move so I don't get stuck here. I don't want to be stuck here.
Yeah.
And I want to do it do it, meaning the move and moving and deciding on my terms, which I am doing. And so I'm not looking to replace this. I'm looking for a different living situation, as somebody said, maybe safer and simpler.
Right.
And I'm willing to sacrifice the wildlife and the having a separate and dedicated space for art in order to achieve a different, safer, simpler way of life and open myself up for more travel or more new stuff to do and more relationships with other people and other organizations that I haven't been able to do because of the distance and other things that go with living where I'm living now.
Right. Maybe having a safer, simpler way once you move is going to open up new doors for you and give you more opportunities.
Yes, that's what I think will happen.
All right. Thank you, ladies, for sharing.
Thanks for asking. Lee, can you just talk a little bit about the notion of, because sometimes it sounds like for the most part you're working with clients that are they're making their decisions that, maybe they've waited too long, but still it is a time when they're capable of making decisions. But I'm sure you've helped people that basically the kids are making the decision for them, or some other circumstances where whatever the move is, it really wasn't their idea, but they're still having to go along with it.
Yes, a lot of times it has to do with health reasons or maybe a recent loss or an accident or something. Um, I try to I try to advocate for the older adult. I want them to make the decisions if they can. And that's why even when I'm doing the space planning, I have a tool that I've put together where I actually enlarge the floor plan and then I will cut out furniture pieces to scale. They're all in color. It's very pretty. People love it. But I call them magical space plans because I might know that the 2 love seats and the 3 recliners are not going to fit in a 9 by 9 room, but they need to see it and it needs to be their decision. And this tool that I use really helps people kind of play with it and they get to be in control. And when they feel like they're in control, it does help to lower the stress level. And if I can do that during the transition, I can avoid accidents and illness, anxiety, and most of all, I'm trying to avoid falls. Occasionally, I'll have a situation where the older adult really doesn't have the capacity to make the decisions, maybe because of memory impairment or dementia. And I meet them where they are and try to see how much of that they can actually be involved with. Of course, sometimes that means they might ask me several times, am I moving? Is this why I'm doing this? And they might ask that question 14 times. And I always answer them the same way as if I'm hearing it for the first time. And I'll say, well, I have to meet them where they are. So I don't go and say something like, well, yes, you're moving and you've asked me that 10 times. No, that would not work. Instead, I always would say, well, you're thinking about it. And I kind of meet them where they are. And then usually they say, oh, okay. And then they go on to the next step. But it's difficult for people, particularly when they have memory impairment or dementia. They can't sequence. They don't know what the next step is in the thought process. And so there's ways that we have to work with them that way. And then there's other times where they're just not involved at all, very rarely. The adult grown children might come in and say, I need you to help me get this move done. And because of the experience, I usually know based on what their lifestyle is and what their current needs are, I can make some suggestions as to what would be some nice things to have in the apartment for them. So that might be one way to go about it.
Okay, thanks. So Karen, I see you've snuck in here finally.
Sorry. Good. And you would like me to comment on
You don't have to comment at all, but or do you think you'll ever move?
I have always said that even though I live in Campus Commons now, and it's pretty, it's much more, what's the word, amenable to staying in place and just bringing in caregivers and so forth. And I'd say that's what most of the people in here who I socialize with plan to do. They say they never want to leave. And I've always been the one that said, no, I don't intend to do that. Because particularly when I'm not able to drive anymore, and I would assume that'll happen at some point, that I definitely would want, stimulation activities, more things coming to me. Um, but I'd have to say in the last year or so, I'm thinking more about how hard it would be to leave here. And so leaving the friends, leaving the outdoors, it's called an urban forest in here, and that's very much like that. And that is a real strong mood lifter and everything for me is that nature just right outside my window. So I don't know. I don't know. I'd be interested, and I'm sure Lynn has already spoken during the presentation, but she's somebody who left this environment and went to another one, though close by. And I'm wondering, sometime I'll have to find out how she feels having lost that close contact with nature and so forth. But
I haven't lost it. It's here where I live.
okay, great. So that aspect has been fulfilled.
Indeed. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
And can I ask, Lynn, did you know that when you decided to move there that that was going to be part of it, or you just kind of lucked out and it was there anyway?
Oh no, it's obviously here.
So that was part of your decision with why you wanted to live there.
It was a very attractive feature.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? I really appreciate your time, Lise. Marianne Williams, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to thank you. I'm going to have to run, but I just wanted to
Thank you. You guys are always great. You have great stories, great comments. And the students, I really appreciate you participating here. And it'd be good if you had some questions. Shouldn't feel bashful about speaking up. This is super informal. If you don't have anything you want to know, I guess you're just soaking it up, and that's okay too. So thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And I would say that if anybody does have questions, I'm available, and I'm always happy to answer a question or try to look something up to help somebody so to find a resource that might help them.
So where do you actually live, Lee?
Oh, I live in Gold River, and I serve anywhere between, if I can get somewhere within a half hour, which might include Lincoln, Roseville, Rockland, Carmichael, Folsom, of course, all parts of Sacramento. I do a lot of work in the Campus Commons area and where Lynn is at River's Edge. And I have some clients in the Elk Grove area. So as long as I can serve my client within about a half hour or so, I'll go to help.
Well, I might talk to you about having you come in and do an in-person chat for our group. I think that would be fun. You may or may not think that.
I would love it. Thank you.
Okay.
Linda.
Thanks,
Linda,
everybody.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say whether people here have decided whether they're going to stay in place or move on. The thing that seems to be a big issue for everybody is the downsizing issue, no matter if you're staying in place or not. And I read an article recently that hit on what a lot of us deal with is aspirational clutter. Or aspirational collections, and that is all the things that we have gathered over the years, from art supplies to gardening equipment and tools when we used to do projects ourselves and so forth. And we're surrounded by all that. And the thought of dealing with that um, is just overwhelming. And so people, I just knowing that some, and I think that many of us would be able to move into a simpler life, even right where we are in place, if we didn't have so much stuff to take care of and hanging over our heads to sort.
Yeah.
And we really don't feel we can, go out and just live this completely decadent life because there are all these paper files that we really need to clean out first. And I think Lee, you can help with all of that, or I'm sure you
Uh,
have tips, but and you may have covered it before in the presentation.
No, there's so much. This is one of those topics you could talk about forever. But let me leave you with this one. So yes, a lot of what you're describing is what we call the possible self.
Yeah.
We keep things. I had a client one time who had a room full of crafting materials and quilting materials, and she was planning on making these quilts, but
Yeah.
they were dozens and dozens of quilts, which would take a lifetime to make. And so sometimes we have to look at some of these hobbies and things that we've had. Does it still reflect me? Is this how I'm spending my time now? And do I want to spend my time? And if we keep anything, we have to take care of it. We have to maintain it. So, think about if you have 5 books on the shelf, it's pretty easy to take care of. If you have 15 bookshelves with all these books, then now you're really managing a lot of inventory. So, those are some of the things that kind of help people is that just look at, does this represent me anymore at this stage of my life? And then is it something that I'm keeping because I could possibly read all those articles or I could possibly make all those quilts or whatever it is? That's the possible self. And just being aware of that, I think helps people make decisions.
And I think
Let's close on this note because you and I talked about this on the phone, that in your opinion, and I think you're right, there's going to be a growing need for people like you to help people do this. So that's not a bad business venture for somebody to think about becoming whatever you are, a
Yes.
professional downsizer.
Well, anybody who's interested in this type of work, you really have to love helping people and be just infinitely patient. But also, I'm part of the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers. So it's called NASM.org. So it's National Association of Senior Move Managers. And you can go on there. There's all kinds of articles and different things to help people become more organized. And the other organization that really helps is the National Association of Professional Organizers. And there's a subgroup that is called the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. And that subgroup has infinite handouts and paperwork. It's just, a lot of really great information. And so maybe those are some of the things I can add when, if I meet, the group in person, we can talk about that because it's really fun. Yeah. So anyway, thank you, everybody.
No, thank you so much. All right. Anybody other comments or questions? If not, I'll see you hopefully next week. We do have another session. So it's good to see you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Good
And I'll be
night.
calling you, Lynn, soon. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
thank you,
All right.
Lynn.
Yes, ma'am. Good night.
Yeah.